So Friday we talked about halving it, if you will. Just not going all the way with your work, not going all the way in the areas of excellence with God. So this kind of is my question in the area of excellence this morning. I want to reference Ephesians 5:1 that tells us to be imitators of God because we are His children. Like to imitate His actions, to imitate His behavior, to imitate His love, to imitate His work. Now, why don't we like give it all? I know that I kind of talked about this Friday, but like let me phrase it this way. Why do we hold back? I mean, like, why do we hold back? If you go back to the beginning of human existence, you go back to the place where God created the universe, if you go back to the place where He created the vegetation, if you go back to the place where He created living organisms and beings, if you go back to the place where He created land and He formed the beauty and wonder of humankind, you go back to that, you'll see a creator who held nothing back. He had every bit of his like unattainable power and his unexplainable just articulation in creating all things. I mean, He was an artisan of all artisans as He sculpted the universe. He held nothing back. He held nothing back. I mean, He could have just kind of given it a mediocre effort, and it still would have been the most beautiful thing that you'd ever seen. It would have still been just incredible. It would have left us without any kind of vernacular to describe or define the beauty of it. But He didn't give just a little bit, even though a little bit would have been amazing. He gave all of Himself. He gave everything. He gave every single thing of His mind, of His thoughts, of His energies, of His efforts to put all of this beauty that we exist within on display. And when we screwed it all up, He sent Jesus. He held nothing back. He held no one back. Jesus held nothing back. He didn't even hold His life back. He allowed His life to become the sacrifice for us. He allowed His life to be broken and His blood to be spilled for our freedom. You gotta grab this, guys. So why do we? If we're called to be imitators of God, if we're called to be an imitation, not in a negative way. Like, I know that, sometimes we look at things and we say, oh, well, that's a cheap imitation. I'm not telling you to be a cheap imitation. I'm telling you to look at Him, to reflect on His love, to reflect on His compassion, to reflect on His goodness and His glory, to reflect on His mercy, to reflect on His grace, and say, okay, I am going to be an expression of that. I'm going to imitate that behavior. I'm going to imitate that consistent affection. I'm going to imitate the excellence in my efforts in caring for people, my efforts in work, my efforts in vocation, my efforts in relationships, my efforts in scripture reading, my efforts in prayer, my efforts in ministry in the church. Why do we hold anything back? It's like we think, like, okay, we got to kind of compartmentalize it as if we're putting together a retirement plan. We're going to put a little bit of here, we're going to put a little bit there, we're going to put a little bit there, and we give energy to different things based on what we see to be most important. And a lot of times we put more effort and more energy on our selfish intentions as opposed to energy and effort on the work of God, thinking that we can gain more equity in other things than in Him. And so we hold back. We hold back in our prayers. We hold back in our love. And the sad thing is when we hold back, when we don't give everything, we won't reap anything as significant as what it could be. Like, I'm telling you, in the area of investment plans, if you will, you want to surrender yourself completely to the work of God, because you will yield blessings that will awe you. That will awe you. Like, God did not hold anything back when He created the beauty and wonder of this universe, the intricacies of human beings. He didn't hold anything back. He didn't even hold His Son back when we needed freedom. Don't hold anything back. Be excellent in your love, in your compassion, your grace, your mercy.